LA Knight haters, I got some bad news for you in this video. I'm going to tell you exactly what that is and why it's bad news for you, while it's also great news for LA Knight supporters, because whether you like him or you don't, you at least got to admit the fact that LA Knight has charisma. It oozes out of him. So I have compared him to The Rock because of the way that he sounds, or perhaps Steve Austin, in which he carries himself and he walks down to the ring. LA Knight's a guy that has had ups and he's had downs. He also had to put in his dues to make it to where he is today in WWE, and he's fresh off of a very big victory. He finally, for the first time, won a championship on the main roster. If you don't count the $1 million belt, then it's his first championship in all of WWE, and that's something to be old about, because LA Knight, he had to go through the Matt Dupree character, he had to be repackaged, he had to go through a lot of challenges, he had to go through Bray Wyatt, but at the end of the day, he has been able to successfully make his place within the pro wrestling industry. He's been able to make his place within the WWE universe, and at SummerSlam in Cleveland, Ohio, LA Knight, he won his very first title on the main roster in WWE by beating Logan Paul for the United States title, and it was a notable win because up until that point, the narrative, and something in which I had knocked LA Knight for, which was the fact that LA Knight would continuously get big moments and then he would fall short. He would get big moments and yet he would lose. It doesn't matter where he was on the card, against whoever, for whatever title, whether it would be a Roman Reigns, which he fell short to. Something in which I thought almost killed his main event status, main event type energy. Now, LA Knight's a guy that will tell you first and foremost, does he consider himself among the class of Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton? No, he would not. He's not there yet, but he feels like he was close. He's talked about this, in fact, on Cody Rhodes' YouTube channel, or YouTube show on WWE's channel. And when he beat Logan Paul, it told everyone, okay, WWE realizes he needed a title, he needed a big, big win, and they gave it to him in the way of LA Knight. Or Logan Paul, rather. But it's LA Knight's time, right? Now, LA Knight, he gained a lot of fans in WWE over the last year, coming out of the Max Dupree character when Vince McMahon was still in charge, and since Triple H took over main roster creative, well, LA Knight has thrived. He's worked with the likes of Roman Reigns, like I mentioned, and Logan Paul. It was reported last year that Knight was signing a new 5-year WWE deal imminently. Fightful Select reports that the two sides were in talks, yet far apart on money. Now, the media outlet reported that Knight restructured and extended his WWE contract for a large money increase, putting them with him for years to come. Now, Knight's original deal, well, it was slated to expire in 2025. Now, a significant amount of time, it was added to it. And that is great news for LA Knight fans, and that is bad news. That is something in which haters do not want to see. Why? Why is there so much hate for LA Knight? Is it because you think that he's overrated inside of the ring? Is it because you think he's overrated on the microphone? Like, what is it that you necessarily don't like about LA Knight? Is it the fact that this guy grinded for years and years on independence, working for smaller promotions such as TNA Wrestling, getting a gimmick over on a small scale, being a big fish in a small pond, being someone that really TNA never did much with, right? But he consistently tried his best when given the opportunity, and he finally caught the attention of WWE. Now, in retrospect, sure, everyone has journeys. Everyone has to go through certain things and challenges in order to gain momentum and get to the spot where they're at today. But at the same time, LA Knight's a guy that looks on paper and whenever appears on camera, whether that be television or in interviews, he's a guy that you can't keep your eye off of. He's a guy that captures your attention. You want to see what he has to say next. You want to see what he does next. He carries himself like a star. He presents himself like a star. And by God, he is a star. And with this and this title win, it signifies that LA Knight's a guy that WWE sees big things in and continuously will be able to draw them money. Him beating Logan Paul, was it a makeshift? Was it a makeup for him losing to Roman Reigns in Saudi Arabia in November of 2023 in Saudi Arabia? No. You needed that match not to happen. It forced LA Knight backwards. It was a setback, regardless of what you think. It was. He was not as hot coming out of that match that he was going in. Okay? And I talked about this at the time, to the point where after he lost at the Royal Rumble and after he got eliminated in the Elimination Chamber, I thought LA Knight's main roster tenure would not involve a main event run. I just didn't see it. But you know what? I was wrong, and I admitted so. I have a video titled, I Was Wrong About LA Knight. I 100% was. LA Knight is a guy that can be a main eventer. LA Knight is a guy that can be a main eventer. LA Knight is a guy that can be a WrestleMania headliner. He is older. That is fact. Will he get the longevity that he probably should? Probably not because of the age. But can you give him a run as a main eventer? Can you give him a run as a main event world champion? Absolutely. I mean, Jinder Mahal got a WWE title reign, for God's sakes. Give LA Knight one. But in the meantime, him being U.S. champion, that is a great, great start. It's a great, great place to be in, because under Triple H's leadership, main event talent can hold secondary titles. The secondary titles all of a sudden start to mean something. When you use them in the right way, with the right talent and the right feuds for a long period of time, eventually fans will pick up on the fact of, oh yeah, this title means something. Look at Gunther in the IC title. Look at Rhea Ripley in the Women's World Championship. 2 long reigning, defending champions. Dominant champions in that. They were doing big, big things. You can have LA Knight do that with the U.S. title. Now, I understand that Logan Paul, he had that title for over a year. That man made 3 title defenses, 2 of which he actually retained. I understand, and I recently talked about this in a video, where Logan Paul thinks he will be remembered by this generation's fans as who that guy was that held the U.S. title. I don't believe so. LA Knight, though, he can restore prestige to this title. He can make fans believe in this title yet again. That's how much power LA Knight has. That's how much influence LA Knight has. And you best believe LA Knight is going to do some great, great things with this championship. Something in which I look forward to every single Friday night that I tune into Friday Night SmackDown, to see this man talk, to see this man wrestle, to see this man on television. LA Knight, mark my words, he's going to be a superstar, and a superstar for years to come.